Hey, welcome to Freedom Fridays. My name is Aaron Jennings with Scalability, where we are leveraging technology to advance the kingdom. And so every Friday, if you are a Scalability subscriber, you get access to these live strategy calls with me, where I help you go through your business and figure out how to make the software and the tech actually work for you. So a lot of people start software because they have a great idea or a ministry or a business, something they want to grow. And a lot of us get hung up and stuck in the tech side of things of how do we make the pieces fit together? We have tech support 24/7, 365, and they tell you they do a really good job telling you how to fix stuff. But what's your customer journey look like? What does the sales funnel look like from step 1 to step 25 when they're on a coaching call and they're getting reminders and everything else? That's what we do every Friday at 11:30 Central Time. And as a subscriber, you get to actually join these calls, ask questions and everything. I go out of my way to basically make sure I serve you and help you win as quickly as possible. So as always, we have a couple people in the waiting room. We're going to bring some people in. We'll talk about some of the new updates or features that have happened recently so that you kind of can see some of the cool new stuff that's happening inside of there. And then we'll answer questions and kind of kick around some ideas as normal. So if you have questions, you're watching on the replay on YouTube or in the Facebook group, either one, feel free to put the questions in the comments because we will get to those. And then, as always, feel free to unmute and tell us where you're at with stuff. So, hey Kelly, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. How can I
Good.
serve you this week?
Well, I've got a little bit of a lengthy question. And it's several parts to it, but okay. So I initially bought my website domain through domain.com,
Uh-huh.
and then I transferred it to Squarespace.
Okay.
And so the the domain names that I have through domain.com, do I need to keep that, or will it, since I transferred it to Squarespace? Do you know that answer?
I'm not sure, but I believe if you've transferred it, like I said, I don't know what exactly you've done or how that looks inside of each platform. But if you've
Mhm.
transferred it, that should mean it's leaving one platform and it has moved completely to the other. Some of
Okay.
them, if you move it, now I'm not a tech guy, so if you guys are watching the replays, don't hold me to everything I say. But but some of them, if you move them over, it transfers the domain, but the name servers stay. And you still have to make sure you go back and transfer the name servers or use the name servers of the new place. Like I think from Wix to GoDaddy, if you transfer the domain, the name servers stay there. And you have to make sure you go into GoDaddy and say that you want to use GoDaddy's name servers or something like that before you can get rid of Wix completely. So I'm not familiar with every single one of them, but I know that some of it, just make sure that it's completely transferred from one, the name
Mhm.
servers, the DNS, and all that into the new one that you're using. And then you should be fine to get rid of it because that's the whole point of transferring.
Okay. Okay. So, and my next part of that question is, and the only reason I keep that is because that website is on my business cards that are
Mhm.
floating out there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose
Did you get a new website or a new domain, or did you just move the domain?
I just moved it.
Okay, so you're just moving it over and you're just continuing to pay for it so that you have it and you have it
Yeah.
connected to a new funnel now, a new sales page or something.
No, it's just a it's just hanging out there by itself. It's not connected to really anything, I don't think.
Okay. So
Um,
that's a good question. I want to bring this up. If you're keeping the domain because it's out there on websites and or I mean on business cards and things like that, if it is out on business cards and you're paying to have the domain so that if somebody finds your business card and they could go to that website, it would bring them to something. If you don't have it pointing to a website builder, like you're using scalability to build your websites, your sales funnels, your community, everything, you need
mhm.
to, wherever your domain is hosted, so GoDaddy, domains.com, whatever it is, you need to have that domain connected to your scalability account and then point it to one of your websites or funnels in scalability. Because if
Okay.
not, they'll find your business card, type in the website, and it still won't go anywhere.
Yeah. Because I have a landing page that I built inside, or you guys built inside Scalability for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have, that domain that I got through GoDaddy. So that was the
Yeah.
next part of my question is I would like to build a website inside of Scalability.
Mhm.
I haven't tried that yet. Is there someone inside Scalability that can kind of walk me through that?
We
Because I
have
know
some
I can't do that.
we have some videos that show you how to do it. And of course,
Okay.
like we could do it for you if you decide you don't want to. I just always throw it out there just so people know.
Hmm.
But we have videos on it, but you're going to go to sites in the left.
Hmm.
And then it's just, I build everything in funnels. So even if I'm building a website, that just means you're going to have more buttons and more pages. I would still create
Hmm.
a funnel and just have funnel steps for each one of the pages. But ultimately, yes, we have a couple videos on it. So we can make a note. Joel, can you make a note to grab the videos on that? And we'll post them like on the replay link in the Facebook group when we're done here.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, there's somewhere we build it from start to finish, so you can see how to lay out the sections. And then if we have time on this call, we can jump in and start take a look at it.
Okay. Yeah. I just I can't stay very long, but those were the things that I wanted to ask because I really do want to the way that the membership thing is going is not as I had expected.
Okay.
So I do have a course that I would still like to offer, and I would put that on the web connect that to a website, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So, um, yeah, I
Is
was
it
just
just
trying to
because
think
of
about.
like getting people signed up? Like, are people seeing it and they're not signing up, or are people just not even seeing like what you're offering and things like that?
The visibility is very good. It's
Mhm.
just people aren't signing up. So I
Gotcha.
don't know that they would sign up for a course either, but since I have one built, I could just put it in there and throw it out there.
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
something too, having one offer and not jumping between offers will help you gain momentum with an audience over time, right? So
Mhm.
over time, and let's just call it years. If you said this is my one message and my one thing I'm selling over years, people are always like, that's what this person does. And so
Mhm.
a lot of us get into like we'll start a community, then we switch and we'll do a course, then we switch and we'll do a thing. What if instead of switching, what if you just made the community better? Like if your community is what you were selling, let's say you've been pushing that or talking about that for a year and the visibility is good. If you have a ton of people coming to an offer, but they don't buy, then you want to optimize the offer. How do we make it better and speak to the people, right? So if you have a lot of people looking at it, instead of coming up with a different idea or switching paths, I would say, hey, do you mind if I ask? Like ask people. Say, hey, we noticed you looked at the thing or you talked to me about the community. Is there any specific reason you didn't join? Just love to get some feedback. Good, bad, or indifferent, it helps me grow. Could you tell me why? Or does it seem like it's not valuable? Like just not what you're after? What is it? And a lot of times it's just like you'll come down to basically it's not valuable enough or they don't understand what they're going to get inside. Right. And so,
Yeah.
how do we continue to say, I've got this community, join my community, join my community? Instead of switching to now buy my course, you can simply talk about, hey, we are always making our community better. We've added a course to it. When you join my community, we'll give you free access to this course as well that talks about this, this, this. And now the course is a benefit to joining the community monthly instead of switching the message from join my community to buy my course. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? You're still
Yeah.
leveraging it, but you can kind of start packaging it together and creating an offer that's even better because the offer is join my community and get a coaching call every week or whatever that is. It can be join my community, get a coaching call every week, and access to these 10 courses that I did on this. And you get access to them as long as you're in the community. And we have coaching calls every week to talk about the stuff that's in there. And you can add another course, just say, hey, now we added this to the community. And the community gets better and better and better. So people go, oh, now it's more valuable. Now I do want that thing. And the only place I can get that is inside the community instead of, I still don't need the community. I just need that course. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm not
Yeah.
saying like you
Because,
have to do that or anything else. It's just an idea.
yeah. Because what I have found, I was doing, well, I still am doing weight loss, but what I have found is that when women come to me for weight loss, it ends up being so much more.
Of
So I'm
course.
just kind of evolving and
Hmm.
expanding, I'm not going to quit what I'm doing, but I'm just adding into it additional things like with mindset and,
Yep.
different things like that. So it's basically an expansion. So
Well, and that's
so
what I mean. I would evolve
yeah,
the community because, like,
yeah.
hey, you coming to me for weight loss, we're also going to give you these things. It's all in this one place. So then your offer stays the same, but the
Hmm.
stuff that's included and what you go over and what you talk about should continue to evolve as you talk to people because
Yeah.
then it becomes more valuable to them. They're like, oh, it's not just a weight loss community now. Like,
Yeah.
I do need that.
Yeah, and that's what I need to do with that, with my, I guess, that landing page or that, where you just go to uniquelyyou.lifecoaching.com and that takes you, but I need to change that stuff because right now all of it's revolved around food and I need to expand that and change that messaging up some to be more inclusive to what I'm going to be doing as well.
Right. Well, and that's just
Yeah.
thing. If you use the community and you evolve the community to include these other things, then you
Hmm.
don't have to start from scratch with a new landing page and
Hmm.
connecting a new domain and having now there's a new link to a new thing, right?
Hmm.
And it starts to divide your audience where they're like, which thing am I interested in? If you just evolve the landing page for the community, right? You go in, you make changes to that, and you swap out food pictures for overall pictures or something. Or
Yeah.
you add in the extra categories to where it's like, hey, we work on these three pillars: food and
Hmm.
diet, mindset, and habits or something.
Yeah.
And so it simplifies too because you're making changes to what's there as
Hmm.
opposed to starting from scratch and then having two separate ways for people to go.
Yeah. So
So
what I'd like to do is build a website inside Scalability so I can get rid of the
yeah,
Squarespace and all that altogether.
gotcha. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Good. Any other questions? You said there was a few of them.
Well, that was it. I thought that was a lot.
No, it only took a few minutes. It wasn't that much.
Yeah, well,
All
in my
right,
mind it
cool.
was. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
understand. Hey Jill, how's it going? I haven't
Hi
seen you in a
there.
while. How are you? Catch me up.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Doing well, doing well.
Yeah, I'm just checking in, making sure that there's still a community out there. I've been continuing to plug away with social media.
Hmm.
Um, so I manage about 3 posts a week. It sounds very little, but believe me, I put some thought into those. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's really it's been an interesting time. I'm still not making money. I'm still not getting any leads. I think I think that I just need to have more time. I don't know. I know you must hear that 1,000 times a year, but I need more time for this. I still have 30-hour a week job and
Hmm.
I'm doing my best, but not sure, not sure really how to push harder with my current energy levels. So yeah, I just wanted to check in and make sure, that I'm still here, I'm still trying, I'm still doing what I can.
Gotcha. Good. Is there anything that I can help clarify for you to serve you this week? Clarify or maybe simplify or help you. And the reason I ask is like you said, you've been at it for a little while and everything.
Mm,
Every single person I've ever worked with, this is for everybody paying attention. I literally just had this conversation with I forget who, with like two or three people this week. But every about 60 to 90 days, we have to be pulled back into the process of what we're doing. And
mm,
it's been a little while since I talked to you, so I don't know where you're at with the thing. But
mm,
that's why I ask, right? Is there anything
yeah.
that you feel like is like, oh, it's not working. I need to switch. I need to do this or I need to do this that I could
Mm.
help kind of refocus you? Is that something that can
Um,
help?
I think my main emphasis has been on creating 3 visually attractive and thought-provoking social media posts every week. And where I haven't seen the traction is in having enough email contact with my email list. Um, I think that I'm not working that effectively enough. I suppose that as a novice, really, I feel I'm not quite sure whether I'm nagging people or irritating them or getting through their filters. I'm not really sure what I'm doing.
Gotcha. That is a common wonderance for a lot of people. So the way I look at it is they're either responding or they're unsubscribing. If
Yeah.
they're not doing either, then I'm not bothering them and I'm not intriguing them enough either.
Okay.
But if you look at emails, I think it's like a 5% open rate is considered
Mm,
a good open rate,
mm,
which out of 100 people means only 5 or so are going to
yeah.
actually open it, right? In the
Mm,
world of email marketing, some are better
yeah.
than others, of course, but in the world of email marketing, that's the way a lot of them look at their numbers. If they get 5 to 10% people opening the emails, it's good. So the
Mm,
conversion is just going to be like, it's going to take a lot, right?
mm,
It's going to be low. I was just telling somebody yesterday, I know specifically, was having this conversation about this bookkeeping company that I looked at something and then they started following up with me. And like every 2 to 4 days for like 4 months, I would get a phone call, a text message, and an
mm,
email every
mm,
2 to 4 days. Like it was 2 or 3 times a week I was hearing from them. And for whatever reason, I would read the text. I would listen to the voicemail half the time. I'd be like, oh, that's Emily again. And then I started to know it was Emily. Like I started to associate Emily with the bookkeeping service, right? I never responded to the text. I never responded to an email. I would listen to the voicemails every once in a while. And just the other day, I was like, you know what? I need this bookkeeping thing taken care of. I was like, Emily does that. Sure enough, like 2 days later, Emily calls me again, leaves a voicemail, sends me a text message, and I text her back. I'm like, let's see if this is a real person because that's
mm,
pretty good automation. And so I
yeah.
respond to the text message, and immediately I'm in a text conversation with Emily. Probably not Emily, but still, I was in an actual conversation, answered all my questions and everything else. And I thought about that yesterday when I was on this conversation. I was like, this person followed up with me relentlessly
Mm,
for like 4 months where I didn't
yeah.
respond to anything. And I didn't unsubscribe. I didn't text stop, right? And they just kept messaging, kept calling, kept leaving
Mm,
voicemails, kept emailing. 4 months later, I'm like, oh, I need a bookkeeping thing. I should call Emily. I felt like I knew this Emily person at this specific bookkeeping place. And because they followed up with me for so long and I was just seeing their stuff, I was like, oh, I should talk to that person over somebody else. So, from my point of view, I wasn't unsubscribing but I wasn't interested either. But I continued to keep getting them. And when I was ready for something, I was like, oh, I feel like I know this person. From her perspective, it would be very easy to feel like you're feeling, like most of us feel, right? When nobody responds to our stuff, we go, they probably don't like me. That's what most people I've ever coached think. I emailed them or I text them and they didn't
mm,
respond. I'm assuming I bothered them and that's why they didn't respond.
yeah.
I always assume the other person's just busy and
Yeah.
just keep sending
I know.
until they either opt out, unsubscribe, or say, leave me alone. I'm not interested, that kind of thing. It's
I
like, that's
suppose
just,
my question is whether the content of what you repeatedly send is exactly the same or slightly different every time.
it depends on what kind of content and who our client and customer is, right? Hers was exactly the same every time. It was always, hey, Emily, this is Emily again with so and so bookkeeping service. You know, if you need help with this, remember, we can take care of that for you. Feel free to text or call, whatever. And like her voicemail was the same, her
Mm,
text message was the same. It was
mm,
always just like, hey, remember, we do this. If you need it, holler at me.
okay.
That was a very like she's a service based. This is what we do. It's specifically this thing, that kind of a deal.
Mm,
Whereas with yours, you could expand and tell stories, right? And the more stories you tell, the more of an emotional
yeah.
attachment that person starts to gather to you, right?
Mm,
I have no emotional attachment to Emily. It's still going to come down to her bookkeeping service costs this compared to so and so's that cost this because
yeah.
she didn't build any like emotional connection. It was just follow up. We got the thing you
Mm,
need when you need it. Let me know what you need. Um, if you build an emotional attachment through stories and everything else, that can work as well. but it's the call to action. It's quizzes, polls, anything that would make them ask a question, even in their head if they don't respond. Hey, check out this new video I made just for you, or something like that, and send them to it, to where it gives them opportunities to take action. Because if it's just a respond to this email or this or that, if it's just that one same thing over and over and over, maybe people don't do it. But at the same time, think about how many YouTube videos you watch from the same person. Like a lot of us watch the same people, and they say, so if you like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you pay attention, you're probably not subscribed to their channel. So how many times do they have to make a video and say subscribe, and we still don't subscribe, but we really like them and we watch all their stuff? And so people take action at different times.
Yeah.
And it really is like a long-term consistency. It's exactly what I was just telling Kelly. The longer you can go talking about the same thing, the more clear it becomes to everybody listening.
Yeah.
And we set ourselves back anytime we change the message.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we change the message, and it's not necessarily changing the message, it's changing like the whole offer, I guess, more than the message. The message should change. It should evolve as you talk to people and you find out they're not responding to this at all.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
For example, school communities are super popular. School is like the next great software. They've got an awesome platform, everything else, right? Well, all they talk about is communities, communities, communities. Communities getting really popular. Everybody knows they need a community, whether it's free, paid, you start a free one, upsell to a paid one. The concept of having a community is a big deal. People are liking it because they want to interact with each other, right? And all they talk about is communities, communities, communities with school. Well, scalability, you can build the same communities. They actually almost look exactly the same as schools and everything else, but all they do is communities, right? We do websites, funnels, challenges, communities, all these other things all in one place. All they do is communities. So they say, launch a community, make so much money every month by launching your community. It's a clear message. It's the same all the time. We even tried check out scalable subscriptions to talk about communities, to where we had like our own little name, that we could say, oh yeah, we do scalable subscriptions, which are paid communities, but we're just not calling it paid communities. Just the simple switch of calling it a scalable subscription, people are like, I don't know what that means. So if you talk about a community, people are like, I know what that means, and I want one of those, right? So the messaging changed, but the offer is still the same.
Yeah.
It's still a community. It's still gathering people together and coaching and offering a lot of extra value in that one place. And then how do we make that community better and better and better? So the messaging can change, but try to keep your offers the same. And when your messaging starts to find what they're looking for, that's when people start responding more or responding better. And that takes a lot of time. If you send a lot of emails and that's the only thing you're doing, just send more emails.
Okay.
If you're doing a YouTube channel, or if you're making social media posts or anything like that, you just have to make a ton of them and always talk very clearly about the thing, but try different hooks and try different stuff. Like, hey, go do this in one, but it can still be like, subscribe to the channel, just one thing to do in that video, or in the email, check out this one new video, subscribe to this, respond with, this if you have a question or something. Make social media posts that are like questions and polls. Which would you rather, this or this? That intrigues people to take action, and then see what they actually respond to. Because the only reason you're doing this is because you'll see a lot of stuff people don't respond to. And you're like, okay, that must not. What you learn from that is this type of content isn't relating to my person. And so then you switch it, right? To where it's like, oh, they don't like quizzes. Nobody ever responds to quizzes. When I say, hey, I'm doing a free masterclass on this, who would be interested? And you get 15 comments, you're like, oh, they like to attend masterclasses. So you could try more things like that. Hey, I'm hosting a live thing. Hey, I'm hosting a live thing. And if you're always getting interaction, then that becomes your jam. That's what your people like.
Yeah.
So you
I'll,
have to keep doing
I'll
the same
vary it.
message, but try a bunch of kind of different hooks and things like that.
Yeah, good ideas. Thank you. I just needed a bit more catalyst inspiration today.
Right? No, I completely understand. I completely understand.
Thank you.
It's like I said, it's an ongoing, and it's hard for a lot of people to stick with the same thing when you're not seeing an action or you're not seeing a response. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah.
You're not seeing payoff, I guess you could say, right? And that makes it really hard to actually keep doing it. But at the
Mm,
same time, like I want you to know that's the reason I shared the bookkeeping thing is like people may be seeing your stuff and they're just not
mm,
ready to respond yet.
yeah. Yeah, that's
To
true.
them, it's either just not good enough or to them, they don't
Mm,
see the need yet.
mm,
Right. So, like
okay.
yours specifically, maybe their kids aren't old enough to get into that stuff. And so they're not thinking, like, oh, I don't need that. They
Mm,
see it and they go, that's interesting, but I don't need it. But then something happens with their kid and they catch them doing something or something, bad happens
yeah.
with a
Yeah.
connection and they go, oh man, I should have been more prepared.
Sure.
Who's that person? That person sent me stuff. I've seen her stuff. She does something with this. And like that may be all they remember, but then they go looking. And if you're continuing to send regularly, it's when they have a pain point that they'll go looking.
Mm,
And that's life for everybody, right? It's up in the air when that's going to happen, but that becomes a volume, right?
yeah. So
Barrett, go ahead.
Barrett asked a question
Yeah, that's what I was
about
going to
what
say.
I'm selling, which normally I would say up front. So is that okay to go ahead?
Of course.
So my brand is making fun of faith, and I'm a game script writer and a digital discipler. And I'm looking to offer a product which is basically a service actually to help parents of children who want to equip their children to succeed and to be safe in the metaverse. So I'm really offering a coaching service and also a community for those that want to equip their children to flourish in a digital age. And I think that where I've just to add to what I said to Erin about being in a little bit of a barren place with regard to responses, I've also resisted changing my message because I've had a very clear confirmation, I would say, through my work that I've been doing, that God wants me to intercede for ambassadors for this kind of work, for those that are making waves in the metaverse, what will be the metaverse, and to be what I think he's saying is a digital doorkeeper. Now that is something that I can do, and I believe it's so important because we have to take territory and let the kingdom be let the kingdom of God occupy this new digital space. And I've resisted mentioning any of that because it's what Aaron's been saying to us is don't confuse your messaging. This is something I think God is calling me to do personally in my own devotional time, and I will, and I am doing. But the message to the parents, to the carers, to the guardians, is to it is just for them and their children and their confidence and their navigation of a space they're not necessarily very sure they should introduce their children to, and yet it will creep up on all of them.
Hmm.
We know it will. Screen
Yeah.
time
That's
is a big,
awesome.
big deal.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's a huge need for that, a huge need for that. Are you in the US?
No, I'm in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting and not something you really hear anybody doing. That's super cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's something that I think there's a definite need for, and the automation side of it has not been my forte, but I need to get better at messaging, and that's always been the thing you've said to me, isn't it, Aaron? Get louder. So that's my biggest struggle is time to spend on crafting these messages and getting them constantly churned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you scheduling in? I remember when I kind of first started like, hey, let's write one email a week.
Yeah.
It was always daunting because we'd sit down and try to batch them and write a bunch of them. That was daunting for some reason because I don't like writing them.
Mm.
But when I said, you know what, it only takes me about 30 minutes to write an email if I sit down and I turn everything off. And so
Yeah.
I just made it to where once a week I blocked 30 minutes where I just turned off my phone and didn't talk to anybody. And I just like kind of put on some background music and sat there and I'd write one email and then send it. And then the next
Mm.
week for 30 minutes at the same time, I would sit down and write one email and send it because it's
Mm.
not as overwhelming when it's like, all I have to do today is write one email and send it.
Yeah.
And if you made that a daily thing, it's like, all I need to do is write one email and send it. And then something you can do is if you went every week, let's say you sent out one every week, every 3 months, you could start going back through the same type of emails and just redoing the same ones. So
Sure.
pull the one you did 3 months ago, maybe tweak it a little bit, or even just
Mm.
resend it.
Yeah.
Because when was the last time you guys looked at an email or remembered one from 3 months ago, right? Like, and then they're like, I feel like I've read this before, or maybe they didn't read the first one. Barrett says ChatGPT too. Like that was something, my best friend, he uses ChatGPT for everything. Me, I don't. For some reason,
Mm.
every time I do use it, it's great. But for some reason, mentally, I won't use it. I'll just pull up my computer and I'll just do my thing. And then he's like, pulls up ChatGPT and just does it. So like find what works for you, right? Because some
Yeah.
people are just like, boom, chat GPT, like my buddy, and he just knocks it out. Other people, mentally, we can't get ourselves in the space and it feels overwhelming. And so,
Mm.
like, which way works best for you with what you have going on to where you don't feel like it's overwhelming? All I got to do
Mm.
is write one email today and I'm done working for the day. Like, oh, that's really not that big a deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Barrett, I saw you on mute. Were you going to say something else?
Well, I have some questions for you if Jill is good.
Jill?
Finished. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
All right. Give it to me. Let's do it.
All right. So I have got, is there a way in scalability? When I enter contacts in, let me tell you what I want to do and then you just tell me.
Okay.
So I have several agents I want to refer business to in
Mhm.
specific areas, but I don't want to keep trying to figure out who is who. So
Yep.
like, let's say I put 10 Mary Smiths in there, but they're all different people.
Mhm.
And then one of them is tagged with Fort Myers, one is tagged with Naples, one is tagged. Can I create would it be a smart list that I put them in one spot and then tag them so I can email out leads to them as they come in?
So I don't use the smart list for everything. I use the tags. So what I would, whether it's a smart list or a tag, what you're doing is you're saying, I have a property, right? And I want to send it to all of my referral partners that are in Naples. So I would go into the contacts, search Naples, and if you tagged all the Marys that are in Naples, it will only bring up the 2, 3, 10, 1,000 Marys that are in Naples, right? The contacts. And then you just
Perfect.
select all of them and send an email. If you have a
Okay, so
separate
maybe,
list, it's kind of the same thing, but you're going to the smart list and then doing the same type of a deal.
nope, that's perfect. So maybe I'll just put like BA buyer's agent Naples or BA Fort.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yep.
solves it. That
Yeah.
works.
And then
Okay,
just search for that. So are you guys um are you comfortable with that? Like, do you understand that? Like all the contacts are there, you search for that broker, it pulls them up and you know how to send the email to everybody?
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
because essentially you're going to open your contacts. So for everybody else, I want to make sure I answered your question. You're clear. For everybody else watching replays or anything else, um, the most important thing you can do with your contacts is tag them. Okay. When you tag them, that's your lists. You can go into your contacts in the left side menu at any time. It'll bring up all your contacts. And then in the top right corner, there's that little search bar. You can search for somebody's name or a tag. So if you search for, like this case, referral partner or BP Naples, it will separate and only bring up the contacts that have those tags. And then you select all of them by checking the little box that's right above the very top contact in kind of that top left corner, right above their name. And then right above that, you'll see the icons that show, if you hover over them, you'll see like campaigns, workflows, text, email, import contacts, export contacts. There's that little icon list. If you select all the contacts, hover up over those icons and click on the email, it'll pull up a window where you say, yes, I have permission to send an email to these people. And then you can write one email. And when you send it, it's going to send an individual email to each person on that list. And that's the quickest way that I've found, that I personally, like I was just saying, find a way that works for you. Some people like smart lists. I never use them. I don't, for whatever reason, they're great. Just like ChatGPT is great, but my mind doesn't go to using it. So I use the tags. Tag, pull up the list, check them all, send an email out, and then move on. We still do that for Freedom Fridays and stuff. It's just the process I do. We can automate some of that stuff, but that's still a manual thing we do every week, because we're like, well, if we decide to do this, or if we have questions on this, or we're going to be gone this week, we don't, we want to give like an up-to-date update. So we tag everybody, search the tag, select everybody, send an email out to everybody all at once. Quick and simple. My favorite.
Okay, and then another question I have is, I feel like I need a form when people are buying my consultations. I
Okay.
feel like I need a form, a disclaimer of some sort where they initial. I don't know if that starts to get too complicated, or if that's not a good idea to do. I kind of
No,
think
it's okay.
I would. Okay,
What do you
so
want
I
the
want.
form? What's it say, or what are you thinking about protecting or letting them know? Kind of what's that? What do you want to make sure they get?
This consultation is not to be considered representation in any way. I understand Barrett
Gotcha.
Pastor is not an attorney, and anything she says is not legal advice, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Because I think it's just kind of important in this right now, what we've got with real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I like to add things directly to the form where they opt in. So you can make with scalability, for those of you who don't know, you can actually create like DocuSign contracts and everything else in there now. Um, but on the form where they opt in, let me pull this up and look at it real quick. The easiest way for you guys to do it is either on the form or the website, whatever it is where the people are opting in, that you can put a text on there. On the form itself, there's a privacy type of a deal. Let me pull it up real quick. I'll pull
I
up a
was
demo
thinking
account
like
and I'll show you guys what that looks like.
I was thinking like something that basically says that, like, two initials to say they read this. I feel like instead of having them sign, just type their initials in that they read it.
Right? That's essentially, you would leverage like a contract, because what you're trying to do is with that is if you want them to actually enter their initials, you would have them like signing a contract essentially. Another way to do the same type of deal is have them check the box. Like, it's required that you check this box, meaning that you've read this statement before you're able to submit the form. And that's a quicker and easier way to do it. Let me show you guys what that looks like, and I'll bet it'll work for what you're talking about.
You're so smart. That's the best idea. Then they won't get scared. That's
Then they won't get scared. You send them to like, put your initials in here. They're like, ooh.
Yeah, I love it. No, that best
So
idea.
this is a demo account. If I click on sites on the left side menu here, then across the top, I go over to forms. If I click on forms, it'll bring up forms that we have. So here's a couple demo forms. I'm just going to open one of those. So you see the form here we've got now. There's this, I agree to the terms and conditions provided by the company right here. See that?
Yep.
And that's a checkbox where they have to check it before they can submit the button. But when I click on that, the conditions over here in the right, we can write whatever we want. So here, you could literally type exactly what you said. I know, or by checking this box, I am acknowledging. I don't know if that's spelled right or not.
Yeah, but I
That
get what
Barrett
you're saying.
that
That's so
Barrett is
perfect.
not a, whatever, right? And then right here, you see towards the bottom, there's a required
Yeah.
check. If you check that as required, this little star shows up, and it will not allow them to submit this form without checking that box.
I love that beyond belief. Absolutely perfect.
So go into your form, Barrett, because they're probably submitting the form. Oh, so here's the other thing. If you're not using the form, like on yours, they're paying, right? They're paying the whatever for the consultation, then they're booking it. So it's actually on the payment form. So another thing you can do. So what I'm talking about here is this is a specific form, but if you go to a payment page, or I'm sorry, a website page, let me go to a demo funnel here.
Could you go to mine so I know, like, because I don't know what page to put it on.
Okay, we're live. Is it okay if I stream yours?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. As long as I have like permission from you live here, we're good. Because yeah, this will be good because this is a good question. Because Barrett, you're not using a form, you're actually using a payment form, which are different. So the payment form is directly on the website. So if we go to consult, book a consult and open this page up, in here, we've got it to where when they click consult on any of these, it's going to open up the pop-up. So if we click on the pop-up settings up here in the top, you see that?
Yep.
It shows me what the pop-up looks like here. So here we have a payment form, which is different than the forms I just showed you, right? There's forms outside of this. The payment form is an element on this website or on this page. Right here below it, we have this that's in there for, this is like the required, it's not the exact required language, but this language is what helps get your phone numbers registered with the national database. They look at this to make sure you're giving people the information where they're going to enter their phone number, saying that when they submit their form, they are saying it's okay for you to text them, call them, everything else. Right here, it says that they've read and agreed to your privacy policy and terms of service, right?
Yep.
You could add it right here just by simply clicking at the end. You could double space and put a little space between it. And you could say, you know,
Yep.
Barrett Pastor is not a whatever. This is not representation. When you submit this form, you're simply saying you want to talk to me, blah, blah, blah. And so then if everybody comes back and says, hey, she said, I thought she was representing me, you could simply go right here on the page where you ordered. Here's the wording right here. And they'll be like, it was on the web page where you opted in. It's not even in like a separate privacy form where they had to go read it and then come back. It's literally right here where they put in their information. That's why the phone wants it on this page, because this is where somebody's going to put in their phone number. So they say the clearest way for somebody who's opting in here to know that they are opting in to get text messages is if it's literally on the page where they're putting in their phone number. So I would add it right here to this paragraph. Like I would just start typing right there on the end. That way it's right there where they're actually going to put in their information, say, I want this time with you, etc.
Perfect. I love it so much. Yep. I'm going to do it.
Okay. So yeah, and that'll be quick and easy for you too, because the box is already there. The text is already formatted. You won't have to worry about mobile and desktop being different. I think they're the same. So you should just be able to click in there, type what you want, and then be done.
Yeah. Perfect. 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 One last thing. Oh, I'm so appreciative that you have that easy solution. I can't even tell you. So is there a way do I see somewhere in scalability if people click on my consult now and then they're like, oh, what? I'm not paying. Like, is there a way to see the traffic that they came in, but then they didn't pay?
If we go to, let me just a second.
Because I'm seriously thinking about bumping the price a bit because unless that's happening, because everybody's going over by a lot, which I'm okay with. You know, I needed to get used to it. But time-wise, I'm going to usually I'm going to like 80 minutes.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And that's that's the learning curve, right? Because it's hard to get any good information in for people, right then and there. And I would think with what you're doing, so for everybody to know, Barrett, tell everybody what you're doing, because just like Jill, I like you guys to get what you're doing out. This is essentially, it's another form of advertising for you. So tell people like, what is it you're doing so that they know the point of this and have some context about what it is you're doing and selling.
So I'm a real estate broker in Florida, and what I'm doing is I'm selling consultations. So I'm selling 40 minutes of time, predominantly for folks who are on the fence. They're, maybe they're going to retire in a year or 3 or 5, and they need good, actionable advice from someone they can trust, and they can't pick up the phone and call a random agent because a random agent is random, and they're not going to get advice that's necessarily very actionable for specific to them. So I charge a fee for 40 minutes of time. And some of the folks some of them are like nurture leads where they're going to be a year or 3 or 5, but then they're in my pipeline as a real estate agent. And then others, about half of them, I'm actually referring out to other agents. So far, so good. I'm really happy with it. It's worked well so far.
And her lead capture system, or the whole funnel, is she built a YouTube channel and she makes reviews about moving to the area. So people find her on YouTube and then listen to her videos, watch her videos. There's no real correspondence, but she knows she's got subscribers and people are watching. And she's like an authority in the space for moving there because she's an agent there and she knows the space, right? So then it's like, hey, call to action. If you're thinking about moving, schedule a consult with me and I'll tell you everything that you can't find out on the internet. I'll tell you the truth about moving. So it's good because then essentially, yeah, you can refer them off or help them find a place. So that's the whole funnel. When people go to your website, if you come in here, right, sites on the left, and then click on your funnel like this one, consult with Barrett. Right here at the top, you see where it says consult with Barrett? There's steps, stats, sales, security. If you click on stats, this is going to show you like the people that are coming to this page and the people that see the scheduled page and the confirmation page. And it kind of gives you like page views, opt-ins, sales, earnings, etc. You can set the dates here for like when you want it to, like what area of time you want to actually check it. And then there's a deal here that tells you about like understanding stats, and it takes you into like information to explain this for you. So if your one's like, I want to check the stats and see who's coming through, you can do this. That'll give you the actual like who's coming and what the all uniques, rate, orders, like what those things mean. If I go back to steps right here, something you can do here is you can do a 2-step order form if you want to capture. This is a good question here, so I want to go over this. Because still, the stats will show you the numbers, right? So the stats will say 400 people came to your site, and you'll be like, well, I only had like 2 people book. Well, how many people saw the page and then decided that they didn't want to schedule with me because of the price? You're not going to know that, right? So let's say, because it's on the pop-up here, this is a 1-step order form is what it's called, right? If I click this little orange plus at the bottom, it brings up these elements on the left, right? If I go down to the bottom here, there's a 1-step order form and a 2-step order form. The 1-step order form looks like this one that we have right here. Name, email, phone number, payment information. So they see the price, they complete the order, and then it takes them to like a thank you page. If I went here and I click on a 2-step order form, the first page only has like, you can change this. I wouldn't put all those details on there, but if I click on the form here, I can go to the right side and click on advanced. I can scroll up here and I can say, don't show the shipping information. So see, it takes those away. And then there's a company name. I can say, don't show the company name. So now I've got full name, email, phone number, and this little disclaimer, and that's all that would be here. So they won't see the price. There's nowhere to put in their credit card information or anything else. They would actually have to put in full name, email, phone number, click go to step 2, and then if I scroll back up here on the form on the right, you'll see step 2. If I click on step 2, this is what step 2 looks like. And now I can edit step 2. So they would have to put in their name, phone number, email, and submit it. Scalability would create the contact and capture their name, phone number, email, and then it would show them the price. So then you would be able to see like 10 contacts were created in Scalability, but they didn't buy. And you could actually reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed that you checked out the consult, but you didn't complete your order. And you could reach out to them and try to sell them off of the fact that you got name, phone number, email. So that means they saw it and they started, but then they got to the $99 or whatever you're charging and they didn't pay. Does that make sense?
Completely. I probably wouldn't do that because I feel like for me, somebody might, for me anyway, I would want them to watch 5 videos and then maybe a month later watch 5 more. Like you said, eventually when they're ready, that's when I want to talk to them. But my gosh, I'm just so blown away by what this does that like it does everything. If you need it down the road, you've got it here. But yes, that makes sense.
That's why we called it scalability, is so that as you grow, you don't need more software. You just figure out the next piece.
So cool. Honestly, it is so
It
good.
is.
I love it.
So we want people to just figure out the next piece. And that's honestly like, this is what Freedom Fridays are for, is because you're starting to have calls and it's good. And now you're learning and you're like, oh, maybe I should do this. How could I do this? That's perfect, because our tech support's going to help you fix a problem with something you're dealing with, but they're not going to be able to help you with the strategy of kind of what's the next step. And so good questions. Good questions. You're moving in the right direction. You're doing a good job. Have the calls, talk to the people, let them tell you, like, learn what you learn and then critique and move with it as you learn.
Yeah, love
Any
it.
other questions? Anything I can help you with?
That is good for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Jill, does that bring up anything else for you, or are you good?
No, thank you again for touching base.
Absolutely. It was good to see you. It's been a while. I was going to shoot you a message anyway.
And also, can I just mention to Jill, I have a few friends in that space that you're referring to in the US, that are, one of them in particular I'm thinking of, she went to ministry school. She's pretty young. She's probably 40.
Mhm.
And she's trying to get that type of thing going, and she's doing really well. She's got a beach ministry going. Like, she's fantastic, and she does a lot in social media. If you shoot me a friend request, I will connect you, because
Thank you.
she might really be a good resource for you, because I know her plate is full. And then Erin, also,
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you if you could send me, because you know how agents like to peek around and see what other agents are doing, and then, you know, they want to know, well, who built that? Well, how do you, so if you can send me like a link or something, I will share that out, because I know you said you're doing the affiliate thing, so I'll at least be able to, anybody that
Yeah.
asks me, I'll
Did
send them your
you
stuff.
did you get signed up as an affiliate? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, I'll shoot you a link. It's a quick form. You can fill it out and then it'll automatically give you a custom link that you can share out that will attach that person to you every time. So that way, if they don't tell me they came from you, the system will recognize they came through your link. So it'll be custom for you. And that helps me leverage the technology to track people, even if they forget where they came from. Because we
That's
have people, I've talked to so many people and I always ask, I'm like, how'd you hear about us? How'd you find out about us? And I kind of try to pry to find, because I want to make sure that if you refer somebody over, we take care of you. We say thank you. We hook you up with the affiliate commissions and stuff like that. And so I'm always prying. And it's happened a lot where people are like, I'm not even sure what her name is, but some lady on Facebook like said that you guys were the best. And then I went over to check out her link or I went over to check out your website and I was just here and I'm like, does this name sound familiar? And they're like, oh yeah, that was her. Like,
Yep.
you didn't share
Yep.
her link, but if you share your link, the system will know that some random lady on Facebook made a post and random people click on those and come through the stuff. So you can get affiliate commissions off of sharing your personal link and allowing the technology to really track people for us. So I'll shoot you a link to get signed up for the affiliate, and I'll make sure we put it with the repay link as well in the Facebook group, because you guys are all welcome. I mean, it's all working together and helping each other. So make sure that you get signed up as affiliate, get your custom links, share them out wherever, because I would love to pay all of you thousands of dollars a month because you're referring so many people. It's a
Yeah,
win-win for everybody.
yes, absolutely.
All right. Well,
Thank
have
you.
an awesome weekend. It was good catching up with you guys. Enjoy your weekend and the rest of your week. We'll see